All right, we are live. Let me know if you can hear me. I've got the glitchy computer today. So, yeah, there's a 50-50 chance we're just going to go um, abruptly at some point in this conversation. Anyway, welcome to the live stream. So, this is the live stream back on the main channel here, Midlife Runner. This is to fill the void from the Kafuzi Run Club live streams that used to be every day. That's the whole idea of why I started them. Like Kafuzi, the live streams interfere with the regular content as I publish it regularly. So I created a separate channel called Running Shoe Talk, and I do that. I do live streams on that channel. So if I'll put it in the description below, you come find us if you want to come join us for the live streams. Rob Thompson's in here. He says, "Welcome to OnlyFans of Shoes." Yes, this one's free. Okay. We will not show any feet, but this live stream is free. So today we're going to be talking about whatever it is you would like to talk about in the running world, running shoes. Also, I will fulfill the promise of the title and thumbnail. I will talk about a um, long run that I ran recently this weekend. It happened to be marathon length. This is a thing, by the way, guys. They're called overdistance long runs. Some people were freaking out. I think it come from a good place. I think I think they're coming from like a, hey, I don't want to see you get hurt. But I did one of these a couple of years ago in a McMillan plan. Oh, Coach Greg McMillan. I always get it confused, Greg or Nate. One of them's a basketball coach. The other guy's a running coach. I mean, the running coach. I think it's Greg. I did a 27-mile run under his plan, and I think it was maybe close to a minute slower, but it was like a 7:30 pace. But yeah, so that's a thing. And then it just depends on, I guess, where you live in the Japanese culture. I got this idea to do this when I saw Jake Barraclough ran to Japan. He did a 40K at pace, and then was equivalent to a 209 marathon, and then he finished it out and still ran over distance. And I know they run a lot of mileage over there, and they do run those marathons. So the actual workout that was inside of the long run was the work was really just a half marathon at marathon pace ish, right? So we're 6 weeks out from Boston. I say we, but I just mean me. The Royal we were 6 weeks out. And typically you'll see people 6 weeks out, runners, they'll go for a time trial, a half marathon time trial, or like a race, and they'll just go hammer it. They'll just go smash a half marathon in a cutback week. And then at the end of the week, they just go for it. Can you guys hear me all right, by the way? It says that there's 16 of you in here, but I'm not seeing the chat. Let me see. Okay. Brad Thompson's here. Sounds good. All right. Sweet. So instead of doing a time trial, because I ran the Austin International Half Marathon in January, I kind of knew where my fitness was. I decided to do marathon pace work inside. So I did a half marathon at marathon pace. Just so happened that there's a 6-mile warm up and a 6-mile cool down. Bueller. Sweet. Jen Piazza's in here. What's up, Jen? I can hear you. All right. You guys can hear. All right. Stevie76 is in here. What's up, Stevie76? Bueller. Luis Becerra's in here. Hey, Luis. How you doing, man? How are you feeling? You got some DOMs? Luis just ran the Los Angeles Marathon. That has to be the hardest marathon, it seems like. I can't believe. What did Kafuzi run? He ran like a 3-hour and then like 18-second or something like that marathon at Los Angeles. That's probably good for a 254. that course looks tough. So Luis just posted a recap, or I guess the footage from the race. I didn't know, Luis is your favorite running YouTuber you didn't know you loved. So go check that out. It looks like a fun race. I lived there for a while. I noticed that in the marathon, they avoid the valley. Nobody goes to Studio City. We don't go over the, they just kind of go through Hollywood, Beverly Hills, all the important parts of Los Angeles. We avoid the WB over there, the CW. Sorry, that's CW. What matters to Matt's in here? He says, no running rule is set in stone. 80-20, 10% more each week, running over distance, whatever you feel is going to work for you, go to town. I agree with you, Matt, because I thought about this. It's like, if you want the boss money, you got to act like a boss first. You can't be like, hey, pay me the money and then I'll show you some initiative. But then you got to give me the management money. No, you show initiative first. And then they're like, look at that guy. Somebody please, or girl, woman, give them management money. So, because like a lot of the pushback when you do something like an over distance long run, or you run a marathon, coach Matt Fox running a marathon once a month for every month, doing stuff like that, that's a little bit or unorthodox. People are like, yeah, but that's the pros. That's the pros. The pros do that, and that's a fair point. However, CJ Albertson didn't come out of the womb running. He had to crawl first. Okay. He didn't run a 4-minute mile in the 8th grade. He didn't run 80 miles and then get a sponsorship and then say, okay, now I'm going to probably go to 100 or 120 miles. The dude probably just went for it first. And then he was like, yeah, you're professional. And then at that point, like he won CIM last year or the year before. And then he qualified for the Olympic trial. So he didn't, because it's a net downhill course. So then the next weekend he goes to Mexico and Luis he says, I'm going to go run a 2:10 or 2:08, whatever he ran there. So like 7 days later, he ran another one at a really fast course. Now that is some pro stuff right there. Like, I'm not even doing that with the over distance long run, which we'll talk about, but I'm just not a big believer in the, but the pros, you got to be a pro before. If that were the case, then we would never run, amateurs wouldn't run 100-mile weeks or a marathon every month, or all of those things. So Sheldon Music is in here. I like the last name spelling. It's music, but then with a K at the end. I think they should change music how it is now to that. Just throw in a K. So people are like, what's the K? Right? I think what's the point of it? It does the same thing as C does, but I think it adds a little there. Students at recess popping in to say hi. Well, hi, Sheldon. Glad to have you in here. Luis is in here confirming that the Los Angeles Marathon course is brutal. Stevie76 says Luis ran with Travis Barker. That's amazing. I want to say I saw something. Doesn't he have like a run club or do a 5K? Doesn't he got into running, right? He's got the runner's build. I think he would be a pretty fast. I don't know. He also looks like he might have done a lot of smoking in his life. So I don't know how his aerobic capacity is, but he does look like he could go pretty quick. Gareth Putland's in here. He says, just done 26 miles 3 weeks out from Brighton Marathon just to get time on feet. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And there's a couple situations where I think the over distance long run is really beneficial. If you're relatively new or inexperienced with the marathon, maybe you've run one or you're an experienced runner-ish. I mean, you've got some time training, but the distance scares you. So you just go out on feet for over the time that it would take you to run the marathon. Then I think it's like, okay, it's not so scary. And I've covered the distance. I'm a little bit more confident because now I know I can do it. And that's the McMillan plan was good for that. And then I know my man Maffetone, everybody's favorite, he has a good hack. His hack was that you could, to reduce the risk of injury, you could just go for a walk for 30 minutes, do your 2.5-hour long run, and then cool down with the walk for 30 minutes. So you're out there for like 3.5 hours. You're manipulating time in your mind. You're making it less of a big deal. You don't have the injury. And then that way it kind of helps. Because sometimes it's kind of like, I can't run like this for this long, you know? And once your mind decides that you're toast and you're done, cooked, as the kids say, then you're cooked. That's just the way it is. So, Sheldon Music says, always got to add another K to your workout. Beautiful. This is go one more, not one more mile, one more K for sure. Absolutely. So, yeah. So the run, now I did it at the track. I did a 22 miler at the track, my last block. Some people are put off by that, but some of those same people do really long runs on the treadmill. I could never. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't want to. I don't get bored at the track. I think the track's meditative. My first coach used to call me the track master, and he was convinced, and I've heard a lot of this, you got to go run the other way. At some point to offset, I've never been injured from the hip or, going running around the track too much. And it was 100 laps or something. I don't know. It's easy to zone out. And I don't know, I just because it's like a road trip when you're like, oh, well, I only have 2 more hours to Fort Stockton, and I got like 2 more hours to here. Like breaks it up in chunks. So I know like kind of where I'm at. And then inside the long run, it's not just like I'm going to run the same pace for 20 miles. It's like 3 miles at this pace or effort, 3 miles at this effort. So it mixes it up and it changes a lot. And then I think like Floris Gearman, he did a sub 3 at a track, and then he doesn't mind the track. He likes the track. I like the track. The main reason I did it was that I can control water stops to try to simulate it. And then another reason I wanted to do this many miles was to get the full feel for gut training with all of the gels. So I took 7 gels and I took one ketone IQ shot with caffeine somewhere in there. And so the gels I had on me because I will have them, but I set out the bottles there. So rather than go to my normal Greenway Park Trail where I don't know when the next water stop is, there's that. The other reason that I ran this one at the track was because the last 3 were all Boston simulation type of long runs where I would go 6 miles up and then turn around, and then it's like 8 miles back down, barreling down the hill, 300 plus, all at marathon pace. Like the marathon pace work was downhill. And then when I hit mile 16, I was coming back up and pushing at threshold pace. Those are good. You're supposed to do those, but they say you're supposed to do those far from your peak weeks or before your peak weeks. Build your strength training then, and then that way you reduce the likelihood of injury because you're not destroying your legs. So, and then I read or I heard, and I'm very influenced by the influencers. This is actually McMillan saying like the best way to cover hills is to have just a really good aerobic capacity. So I was like, oh, well, if I run 26 miles, that'll be aerobic in nature. And then that maybe will help. And I'll do it flat. So I'll save the legs a little bit. So that was my thinking. Now, the way I structured the workout for the first 6 miles was a curveball. I changed this whole thing came. So I had the idea when I saw Jake Bearclaw do it. I threw it by coach and was like, is this crazy? Is this crazy to do? Like, I don't want to do like a 40K at pace, like kind of thing, but like something like that. And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. You don't really have anyone to run with there, because Jake Bearclaw had someone to run with for his stuff. It was like supported. And I said, hey, you know what? If we don't do it, that's also totally cool because, one salad doesn't make you skinny. One slice of cake, you don't get fat. One workout isn't going to make or break, one way or another. So unless, of course, you get injured, then it will definitely break it. But anyway, oh yeah. So I received some news though. So I've been, since I posted that, please leave your Boston tips, and thank you for that, guys. Everyone who left their Boston tips. I've been just writing everything down, and like game planning my approach to Boston so that I don't have to think about it because I kind of already know because I've heard about it and I have a plan for it. Stuff goes wrong, whatever, I'm prepared. And one of the things that everyone kept saying is that when you start on this two-lane road, right, in the hills of West Virginia, and then you don't have anywhere to go. You're basically stuck in you're in there with a bunch of other really fast people for the first 4 to 6 miles. You can't go anywhere. So you're just cruising. So don't worry about it. Don't expel your energy trying to weave through people. Take the course as it comes to you. And I was like, great. That's exactly what I want to do. And I don't have that decision is made for me. Then I found out I got my corral assignment, my waving corral. So I'll be brief with this one, but basically there are 4 giant waves at Boston, and they all go out at like 25 minutes apart. And inside each wave is like 8 corrals. So my qualifying time for Boston was a 3:02:24. That puts me in wave 2, corral 1. I go out at 10:25. Everyone else goes out at 10 o'clock. It does not take 25 minutes for all of them to go. It means that I'm going to have a little bit of open road if I'm up there in the front. So I'm like, uh-oh. Now I'm going to have to exercise some sort of discipline. This is not good. I mean, I got ADD. I'm going to be like, yeah. This is what I'm going to do. But then I'm going to have the open road and I'm going to be like, oh, squirrel. This is great. And I'm going to start crushing the downhills because you can't go forward. I can't go into wave 1, corral 8 and tuck in with everyone else in the back, right? I also people in wave 1, corral 6, they can come back to wave 2, but Boston has a rule that you can't go to the first corral of that wave. So they would have to go to, if they wanted to run with a friend, they would have to go to wave 2, corral 2. Now, wave 2, corral 1, as Stevie76 points out, is also known as Golden Corral. Are they still in business? That's really funny, Stevie. Luis Becerra's in here. He says, hills pay the bills. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, I've been doing hills, and I did all those hills. And during this long run, it was so I was surprised at how dead my legs were, and it makes sense, okay, because this is the 4th week of a 4 week before the scale back week, or you could say the 3rd week. I mean, there was like 74 miles, 80, 81, and then this was 80. And 80 is like 80 to 85 is where my peak weeks cap, right? I've never run a 90-mile week. This week, right now, after the long run, it's a scale back week. So I took Monday off, ran some easy today, ran 5 miles easy, ran easy yesterday, ran 5 easy today. We're chilling out. Anyway, so the approach to this long run, this overdistance long run, was that I was going to do it by effort, and I was going to force myself to practice going out how I'm going to go out at Boston, because I'm running Boston by effort. I'm not doing pace. And so I don't know how to phrase it because I don't have any metrics I mean, I could kind of use heart rate, but if I say, yeah, how I start a marathon, I'm going to go an octave or 2 lower. I don't speak music, but I believe octaves are a thing, right? And then I'm going to go a rung in the ladder. I'm going to go 1 notch below where I would start marathon. So it's like 155 beats a minute, and my max heart rate is 199. Just basically like just above zone 2, right in the gray zone, perfect for the Evo SL where it excels. So that's kind of where I want to start, and I want to do that for 3 miles. For the next 3 miles, I want to go just a notch faster. This is like 160 beats a minute ish. This is like kind of where I would normally start the first mile of a marathon. And I want to do that for 3 miles. So I'm just easing into it. At mile 7, okay, like after 6 miles, that's when I think that I wanted to get into half marathon, marathon pace effort, but me thinking I'm gonna have hills here at 16, so don't destroy myself. So it's like 165 beats a minute. I think the average was 163, but I was trying to get in like once. I was really focused on the effort, but I set my watch to get beep at me if I was going too slow or too fast or whatever. It's just kind of keeping it in line. That was 9 miles, 9 miles of that. And then at mile 16, I picked up my effort to what is essentially my actual marathon pace. So this is like my magic number where I burn matches. They say is like 173. I think relatively, I'm sure it's not just this line. It's like a gradient probably, but like 172, 174. So, even staying below 170, I tried to be at like 168 for 5 miles. I think my average was 167. All right. So then I'm 20 miles in. At the 20-mile mark, I gave myself permission to do a couple things. One, if I mean, I didn't know how I was going to feel in the day. Weather was perfect. If I felt great, I was just going to keep cruising. Okay, whatever. Marathon pace effort because it doesn't feel that like crazy. If I felt wiped, like, okay, that feels like the the end of a half marathon, I'll go ahead and just jog the rest. And if I was feeling okay, just treat it like a float. And that's what I ended up doing. The last 6, I treated like a float. You feel like you're going really slow when you're doing your cool down or you're like your kind of float pace in between, but it really ends up being very gray zone. So the first segment of the run, the first 3 miles, they were the 155. They were around sub 3. They were in that 652, 645, 648 kind of range. The next 3 dropped down to like 640, 641 in that like 255 marathon range. Then the bulk of the work was all 630. So just above 250 probably. And then the 5 miles, I think the pace was on a sub 250. And then, so I don't know where I was exactly with 20 or when I got to mile 20 or 21, but I felt okay. And I was like, okay, I think I did a mile floating and I felt fine. I still wanted to practice the gels. And then I did math because sub 3 pace is really like about 7 minutes a mile. And I was like, oh, if I do 7-minute miles, I'll come in under 255. So I'll just kind of keep this same sort of steady pace. I'm not going to push it, do anything crazy. So I think there were a few people who reached out that I don't think they had followed the journey since maybe like breaking 3 a long time ago. So they were like, they were confused. It's like this must have been an all-out performance, but it really wasn't. It's just I'm in much better shape than sub 3 than a year and a half ago or whenever that was. So like I come home and I'm rolling out, I'm eating, I feel fine. And I tell my wife, yeah, I went on a long run and I ran a marathon. She was like, you ran a marathon in training? I was like, yeah. She was like, "Would you run it in?" I told her 253:46. And she was like, "Wait a second, you broke 3?" I said, "Yeah." She was like, "In training?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Did you bring the camera?" I said, "No, I didn't. Of all the runs to not bring a camera, I just, I forgot I didn't want to go back for it. I didn't want to deal with it by the time I got to the track." And she was like, "Oh, I feel robbed." I like you took something from me. I was waiting for that's so anticlimactic, like, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. It should have been more heroic. It should have been like a Hollywood her, her, Herculean. There it is. There's the word. Effort. Something. I don't know. Something Hollywood. We could get Luis if he's still in LA to help us uh shoot the epic finale as I cross the line in 259, 259. or something like that. So Frank Luhilier is in here. He says, I do think running by effort in Boston is a mistake. You really need to chill for the first 5 miles because of the crowds. Yeah. Well, I might hold back all the way to the top of heartbreak. Yeah. So I do mean effort, but not marathon pace effort the whole time. So like it's an effort that I'm holding, but it's like gray zone effort, and then like it's just like a notch below effort versus like marathon pace effort, and then gain some a lot with the hills and stuff too. So because I'm not worried about where the time lands. So Matt Byers in here. He says meeting finished early. We'll catch up on earlier portion later. Awesome, Matt. Welcome in. I will not be running the Boston Marathon in the Takumi Sen 10s or 11s. So Stevie 76 is in here. He says New York half didn't count either for Mance. Oh, no kidding. See, I thought New York was really hilly. Maybe the full is really hilly, but the half is net downhill somehow. That's crazy. Yeah. That's amazing. Anyway, so that's how the long run went. I takeaways. I think I'm glad in a way that it's like done or it's over there or there's like that time. It's kind of like I know I'm in that kind of shape, but now I don't have to worry about a time at Boston at all, really. And so, because like my goal for Boston is just to go and connect with as many people as possible. I know it sounds cliche. Boston is a celebration. Oh, but it is. I mean, and it's cool. And guys, I'm not, unless the brands are going to fly me out to Boston, which I don't think they are, then I'm probably not. I don't know if I'm going to run it again, because if I do run under 255 here, I would like, or later in the year, I would like to qualify for Berlin. I don't know if New York has a good for age time for old guys. I'm sure they do. I think it's aggressive, but maybe I could qualify for that. But these trips are expensive. Majors are expensive. I get 3 kids, married. We're not made of money. I'm in coffee. Mr. Like Howard Schultz got money. Okay. Mr. Starbucks. Those brothers, the Dutch bros, they got money. This guy, they got no money. Not that kind of money to be going. So doing a major once every few years is good. But I'm not going to go back to Boston. So I want to take everything that is Boston in, and I want to connect with you guys who will be there, and just say what's up. It's like kind of cherish it and make it more about that than a self-centered time goal. I got local races for that. In fact, I'm going to run the SATX marathon later in the year. And that I think Meb Keflezighi's helping with the course, but I don't think that the course has been revealed yet, like where we're going to run. It's hard to find a flat course here, but it will be nothing like Los Angeles Marathon. I'll tell you that, Luis. So consider yourself invited to old San Antonio. But like in that training block in San Antonio, it's my backyard. Like I could just go knock out some long runs. Like I'd always see, I was jealous, like when I'd watch the Floberg videos and he was just like, oh, I'll do this long run, which is the back half of Chicago. Granted, it's flat, but it's like I can go, I'll know the tangents, I'll know where I'm going. My brain will be like here, right here, left here. So I can practice on my course. And then like on race day, I'm just gonna wake up and be like, hey, baby, I'm just gonna go down the street. I'm gonna run a marathon real quick. So like if you want to meet me with a bottle on mile 13 over off the MLK or whatever, then I feel like that's the race I'm gonna be like centered more on the time or focused on the time goal. Not to say that I'm not gonna try at Boston. I'm gonna try. I'm just not strategically planning to execute a perfect race, because the odds are when you do any new endeavor, you're gonna suck. You're gonna suck. It's like science, more it's human. I don't know, but yeah, you got to work through the suck. So like, what are the odds that you're gonna get it right the first time and just pace it appropriately? Probably not great, Frank. That's why I'm going to err on the side of being more conservative, especially because of how hard that race felt physically, or the long run felt physically this weekend. My legs are just so tired. The cumulative fatigue from 3 or 4 weeks of high mileage was a lot. And it was, so I had a hard time getting my heart rate up to even 168 and pushing. For all my shoe nerds, my only fans of shoes, I wore the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite V3. I did a 5K at threshold pace last week in the same shoes, and I think it was a 5K PB. I think Kafuzi was right. I think that probably was the shoe of the year, the super shoe, the super racer of the year. Pretty versatile across all distances. So, and it's very lightweight, very energetic, bouncy. It's tough. It's tough. The Metaspeed Edge Paris is right there. Jen. Okay, so I don't know, but they're both really good shoes. Um, I'm not going to run Boston in it, but I wouldn't be sad to run Boston in it. So Matt Byers in here, he says, and there's the Takumi quota for today. Now the Nike quota. Sagasu has influenced me, and I received my Peg 41s yesterday. Oh man. Wow. You are under the influence for sure. If you got the pegs. Man, I ran in the Peg 37s. That's the last one I did. I'm telling you, any shoe that ends up in that $40 range, I'm gonna buy them. I'm gonna buy them on principle. I don't know if I'm gonna like them, but I have received some shoes. Some shoes have come in. So this year, I decided recently what I want to do is try some of the off-brand, out of market, like Chinese brand super shoes. And it really started with 361 because I wanted to run in the Miro because it's the really featherweight shoe from 361. So I reached out to them and I was like, "Hey, do you have the shoe?" They're like, "We don't, not in your size. But do you want to try something else?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Sure, why not?" So send me a list, and then I picked a shoe. It might be the Flame 3.5, but I'm going to run in it, and then I want to translate it to the major brands for everybody else. It's just like there's already too many brands. And I've got the lineage. Like if I've gone Nova Blast 1 through 4, I'm probably going to go 5. And I got a limited resources. I got limited money, right? And other brands are really stepping up their game. So Hoka's really stepped up. Brooks is stepping up. So now it's like, oh my God, there's too many options. So I'm definitely not going to try 361 or X Step or whatever it is, unless somebody's like, you got to get the shoe. So I got one of their shoes. And then in my inbox, there's usually, hey, try these headphones. Like be be actor quality, be influencers quality type of stuff. Sometimes it's like shorts or whatever. It's usually like accessories, massage guns, those things like that. Sometimes shoes. So X Step was in there. So I got the 260 2.0, something like that. They got it. So I'm going to be testing some of those shoes and then translating them to like, hey, this one is like an endorphin speed. If you like that, then you might like this. I just don't know when I'm going to try it. That's the only problem, is because I might have signed up for too much, bitten off more than I can chew. It's a big chin, and but not a big mouth. I can't eat that much. Stevie76 says new goal sub 250. Yeah, that would be nice. It would make for some good YouTube if we like those round numbers and those goals. So, let's see. Frank's in here. He says, for people in your age group to get into NYC on time this year, they had to run 2:51:40. Nice. All right. Well, if I ended up doing a sub 250, then I would qualify for both. And if I didn't get 2:51:40 and it was still 2:55, then maybe Berlin. Stevie76 says, best Tex-Mex on the Riverwalk. Well, that's tough. That's like the touristy spot. So you're going to get like, okay, Tex-Mex on the Riverwalk. Do not dip it in the river. Stay away from the river. Don't have too many margaritas and end up in the river. It's not safe or sanitary. I'm not sure a zombie apocalypse will ever happen. But if it did, I would say there's a 93.5% chance that it's going to stem or spawn from the San Antonio Riverwalk. Okay. Not, it's beautiful far from the city, but like through the city. Don't take a swim. David Garcia's in here. He says, how do I go from 10K up to a half marathon? Would you say it's twice as difficult? I would say it depends on your pacing, David, because the 10K I avoided for a few years. That to me is an effort that feels like a 5K literally times twice. I'm not a very fast twitchy guy. I'm a very slow twitchy guy. So it's just painful for like close to 40 minutes. And I just hated it. Whereas like the half marathon, I feel like, well, I'm going to be out here for an hour and a half, at least, maybe an hour and 41. So I get the feeling of like running fast, but I'm not really suffering the entire time. Like I feel like I am in a 10K, at least after the first 2 miles, right? And maybe it's a pacing issue, but they just say like the last 1/3 of every race is painful in the first 2/3. So like you should ease into the first third. It's work for the middle part. And then at the end, it's painful. So like for the half marathon, it would be like the last 5 to 6K. That's when it's really like hard. So it's hard all the way. Like every race can get hard at the end. I really like the half marathon distance. I think I saw a poll one time. It was a bullshit poll. It was online, I don't think it was BuzzFeed, which is also still bullshit. But that half marathon is like the runner's favorite distance. It's not going to be everybody's, but for like the majority of people, I think they like the half marathon. So I would say the half marathon. Also, if you treat it, depending where you are aerobically, like a 13-mile long run, I feel like it would be less painful also. Matt Byers in here. He says, ran my 5K race in the Vaporfly this weekend. I got my adult PR of 1956. Ringing the bell for Matt. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Unfortunately, second place was a 10-year-old wearing Alpha Fly V1s. But you know what? It wasn't his age. It was entirely those bullshit shoes. It was the shoes. It was the Alpha Flies. And if you had Alpha Flies, you would have smoked them. But you were in the Vaporflies. Were you in the Vaporfly 3s? 2s, you would have had them because the 2s are very aggressive. I don't know, but congrats on a sub 20 5K. That is awesome. So Matt Byers is a 5K, 10K champion. So he's getting in there. So James Chavez is in here. What's up, James? Thanks for joining us. He says, damn, Andrew, I didn't know about this live chat. Hope to see you in Boston. You are in great shape. We are in the home stretch. Yeah, man, we got to catch a run in Boston. I don't really know. There's a million of them. And I know that like Kafuzi and Rabbit did one last year. I'll try to follow close enough to know when that happens, because I think you got to sign up for these things to get in there to do that. But also, if there's like a Sweat Elite join up or whatever, we'll catch a run. So yeah, James, we also do like a live stream on this other channel I created, Running Shoe Talk, and I may just keep it on this channel. To be honest, it's easier to find. There's like 33 of you guys in here now, and like on the other channel, sometimes it's just like 10 of us, because it's a smaller channel, so it doesn't get pushed out. YouTube got bias. Same guy. Bias. It's okay. I'm biased too. Frank's in here. He says, "How does a 10-year-old have Alpha Fly ones? They would have to get them when they were 7, and they would have outgrown them." Oh, off the black market. They were fake, deep fakes. No, I don't know. I did see at over the summer. I did one of those 5Ks. I did. I saw a kid, and he had but they must have been. They weren't Alpha Fly ones because they were like red and green. They were like the different colored shoes. So, but I was surprised that they made him not the kid size, just in general. So, David Garcia is in here. Says working on upping the mileage, just don't want to overdo it. Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think you can all like if I were to go back, one of the things I think I would do 100%. I know I would do is I would cover the distance first. So like the long run that I did that covered the distance here was this last weekend was still very aggressive. The one that I did with McMillan was like, I'm going to be out there for 3.5 hours and I'm just going to go and I kind of treat it like an ultra. So it was a little bit faster than easy, but it was mostly all just aerobic. And that's kind of how I would treat I wouldn't race my first marathon. I think I would just run it to know that I could do it to see what it feels like. It's 26 miles, 3 hours, like 4 hours. It's just hours of running. It's such a long time. And the marathon is such more of a mental burden than any of the other race distances, just because you're out there for so long. You really do got to break it up and try to stay in the mile you're in. So Wojtek's in here. He says, so my BQ right now is 255. There's no shot I can run faster than that. That's steep. Yeah, because especially if there's another 5-minute barrier, that's I can't imagine. Maybe you could just age out like I did. So I technically made it. If my time was still 3:10, I would have made it by 30 seconds, but I turned 45. So now I'm this in March and I'm running in April Boston in 45, and so your cutoff time is when you're going to run it hypothetically. It's not when you would qualify for it. So I got the extra 10 minutes. So I made it by 17 minutes, and the advantage of that is I was able to book a hotel and my flights, and I got a pretty good deal, I think, before I doing a lot of pointing today. Ho, 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 ho. Before all the prices went crazy, and I'm not staying close to downtown. So, Luis Becerra's in here. He says, "Don't cross the river." Yeah, don't cross the river, but we're 75% Mexican here. I got Garza roots. My wife got Garcia roots. It's a safe space, Luis. Come on, come visit. Get some Tex-Mex, man. You got that Baja. Your Mexican food's probably a little more fresh than down here. Got a lot of fat in ours. Very good, but makes for some fat friends. Void Texan here says, with the current 3:19 marathon PR, well, we got a ways to go, Void Tech, but you can do it, man. We can get there one cycle at a time. JBS is in here from across the pond. Good morning / afternoon / good evening. Good evening, sir. I'm glad you have checked your schedule and everything is good. Man, I wish I had a British accent most days. Because just some words are so much more fun to say. Garage. Yeah, it's fun. Matt Byers in here saying he loves the 10K race distance, whereas he hates racing the 5K. I think that whatever I've been doing, then I get used to it. And then anytime I try to do something else, I'm like, this is hard. It's like in 5K training, like going down to like mile effort. I'm like, it's too hard. It's too much. It's too much. And now I'm in marathon training, doing threshold, maybe a little 10K. Then if I dip into 5K, I'm like, it's too fast. It's too much. It's too much. So that's what my kindergartner says. It's too confusing. It was very cute when my youngest was born in 2019. So he turned 1 when COVID hit. And that's when I got into YouTube. That's when I got into running. So he was growing up, and I would talk about Kafuzi. We go into this like Kafuzi event, run club like in Chicago, or like Kafuzi this. So when my kid was learning how to talk, his name's Major, and he would be like, "It's too Kafuzi. It's too Kafuzi. I don't understand." So Eric Paramount's in here. What's up, legend? Oh man, hook 'em. Nice to see a few of the troublemakers here in troublemaking live stream. Cheers all. What's up, Eric? The half marathon is the last sanest distance to run. Everything else is too fast or too damn long. I agree. I agree with that one. That I was like when I ran the Austin half this year, it was like, why don't I run more halves? So fun. I've run one 15K in my entire life. That was a blast. I wish the organizations put on more 15Ks. It's got to be like straight threshold or like 10 milers. JBS is in here. He says, I like the half and the 10 miler is nice too. Yeah, maybe I'll do that one, the cherry blossom one of these years. Matt Byers in here says, yeah, Vaporfly 3, that kid was fast. Over the summer, my 10K PB I ran, it was a 39:01. I don't run a lot of 10Ks. And it was like 70, feels like 84 with the humidity. And the guy dropped in second place, probably mile 5. And then you stick around for the awards. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my little glass award or for age group. And then like for the 5K winners, they just call out some kid with like a 15:21 or something in the heat. He just goes and I was like, yeah, he probably had Vaporfly 3s. That kid was fast too. Hugh wins in here. He says, dude, run whole marathon on the track without stopping is unbelievable achievement. What was the gel hydration strategy while running it? Well, thank you. I did. I started this thing late last year. It's just a potpourri. It's just a blend of every kind of gel you could imagine. So I've got the SIS beta fuel. I've got Huma Chia with electrolytes. I've got the BPN Go gel, and that's pretty much essentially just like the Huma Chia. They're like applesaucey in nature. I got a couple goos. I have Morton, and then I take a ketone IQ shot with caffeine, like right before the halfway mark, and then I go. And then in the bleachers, I set some electrolytes and some water, and then I would take it with me for a couple laps and some of those miles, like somewhere in there. I didn't hydrate too much. It was really nice weather, so I didn't have to worry about it. I did a 22 miler last October at the track also, but because I overheated on a long run before the last few weekends because the Texas summer, even when I start really early, it's still too hot. So I put like 2 or 3 liters worth of fluids out so that I can grab them and go to make sure that I was safe. So one of the purposes of the long run was to train my gut to take all of those. And I feel like I get kind of like, I don't want to take another gel around mile 18 if it's the same texture that I've been taking every single time. But if it's different texture, I don't mind. It's not the amount of carbs. It's not whatever. And I think at Boston, they do Morton. So, I'll take probably 4 or 5 gels out there and then grab Morton's and work those in as well. So the gut held up okay. Mile 23 was a goo. I had one goo, blackberry. It's the worst. It's the worst one. It's just so pasty goo in general. I mean, they're cheap. Some things in life are worth the extra dollar, and especially when it comes to goo. So when I run Boston, I know that, or at least in theory, I got a hat from my man on Peak Stride from Connor. I got a white hat, so I'm gonna roll with it if it's hot. And I'm going to take water and hydration along every stop. So, yeah. David's in here. David Garcia says, shout out to SA Food. It's delicious. Yeah, a little too delicious, a little too much. I don't know if we're the fattest city still, but we're usually top three. And you move here and then you understand why. It's like when I go other places and just like to visit and I start eating fresh food, I'm just like, oh, this is what it's like. I get used to it, but it's just I'm in withdrawals for a while. It's like, where's the Whataburger? I need the nearest Whataburger. So Eric's in here. He says, the thing I miss most about Texas are the breakfast tacos at Maria's Taco Express on South Lamar and the barbecue in Lockhart, Texas. Now Smitty's. Oh, yeah. The barbecue, there are, I mean, you could go to like 5 different barbecue places. I agree that the ones that are just outside of town, like in Lockhart or Bastrop or whatever, some of the best smoked barbecue you're going to find. Breakfast tacos, yeah, it's a weakness of mine and probably everybody who's here. You get a little taqueria. They're just like on every single corner and they escape inflation because what are you going to do? I mean, now eggs cost a lot. So, but it's like they're on every corner. You can't be like, yeah, breakfast tacos are now maybe in Austin. You could be like breakfast tacos are $5, but it's like breakfast tacos are like $1.89 over here. So you really can't put yourself out of business. So Eric's in here. He says, Morton can have all my money if they start making 160 cal Texas brisket flavored gels. Not kidding. Yeah, I would be here for it as long as the texture was a little bit different. If they had Diet Dr. Pepper, well, actually, it could be full Dr. Pepper. I had a Dr. Pepper at the end of the Boston Marathon. It hit the spot. I need to make that a thing. I need to finish every single marathon and just chug and chug it. And then, like after Houston, I told my wife, I was like, "Baby, we need to find the nearest Whataburger. I need a number 5." Now, I ate with you when you were pregnant. I ate so much with you. I need you to eat with me in this parking lot. Just go to town. Let's get the onion rings. Let's get the fries. I need a malt. Let's get a milkshake. Oh man, what a day. What a life. We got some people who are not fans of goo in here. Luis has got the pukey faces. Same Paul Timothy says I can't take goo. Yeah, I got a someone was kind enough to send me some this guy watched the channel, so I was grateful, but it was like one of those assortment 24 packs. So I had those for a while and I just mix them in. I would never choose blackberry. I'm a peaceful man. I don't choose violence frequently. That one, and they have like triberry. It's like, why do you got triberry? You already have blackberry. They do this. It's like the C and the K. They do the same thing. They serve the same purpose. You don't need both of them. I'm not even sure you need it all together. Really, with the blackberry, just keep it vanilla bean. Oh, the caramel macchiato one's nasty too. So you don't. Ugh, need a venti water. Alex Dominguez is in here. He says, that's so funny. I hated Morton's textures, but I love goos. I take goo a little at a time over the course of like half a mile. That's how I had to do the blackberry one on mile 23. It was just like a little bit at a time. So I'm here for the savings usually, but from that, in that case, we're there. What I didn't do and what I probably will do in Boston, I still have some I'm not going to remember the brand. They do a lot of triathlon stuff. It's not Scratch. Precision Fuel and Hydration. I have a carb mix from them. I don't think the stuff goes bad. And my wife's like, oh yeah, she's the one that's like, it's 4 weeks old. It's fine. Oh, it's 2 years, but like vitamins, powders don't go bad. They're fine. I'm like, yeah, but it goes bad in 3 days, from the sell date. I'm more conservative, but I want to get the most out of my hydration. So I think it's lemon. That's the only reason why I haven't drinking all of it. But in Boston, just like I might take a handheld with me. And I didn't take my handheld here on this time. I will not be bringing the camera, guys. I'm not going to get banned by the BAA. I'm not going to go serious runner on this one. I will say I've gone through and I appreciate the BAA allowing Kafuzi and other people to shoot some footage of the race beforehand, during. It's really good a feel of what I'm about to get into. It's really helped along with all the tips you guys have left. So I have a pretty good idea of what I'm getting into a little bit, at least logistically. So JBS is in here. He says, I always have a Dr. Pepper after a marathon or an ultra. 330 milliliters is always in my drop bag. All right. I'm glad I'm not alone. Yes. Oh, it's so good. And we don't normally I don't, I mess with the Diet Dr. Pepper with the zero, but we're going Cal. So Stevie76 is in here. He says, find someone that will eat with you. Stevie, you're coming to San Antonio, SATX. Let's go, man. It's going to be a good time. Eric's in here. He says, precision fuel is pretty solid. Wish it had a bit of salt. But I use those big 90-gram pouches for the long stuff, races, ultra bits. Goes down easily. Yeah, I think like ultras, it's got to be like a whole different ball game because you need probably more than just gels and stuff too. For you're going to be out there that long. It's like real food, pizzas. Long live the BAA. Paul's in here. He says Boston this year will be my fourth and probably last since the cost is too much. So I'll bring my GoPro to remember the course better. Awesome, Paul. That's great. Yeah, I'm gonna bring the camera, but it's gonna be like for all like the expo, getting around, talking with you guys, whoever, like group runs, and to capture the experience so that I have it and remember it, I'll share it. But to take in Boston and everything that Boston is. But I do agree it's pricey. In Chicago was pretty pricey too. When I went to Chicago, nobody was like, there wasn't a lot of chatter out there saying, don't do Airbnbs, make sure you stay in hotels. But there was a lot of that for Boston. They're like, don't do Airbnbs, you'll get screwed. And if you stay near the finish line, it's $500 a night. Chicago is so big. I mean, you could stay like a mile from Grant Park and still get down there. But the entries for all of these races are expensive. I can't even imagine how expensive New York is, or Berlin, which it seems like a lot of money. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever. You can't get into London, can you? Or Japan with times. Maybe JBS because you live there. But I think if I'm down to a lottery, I guess the only way you can get favor or gain favor is if you're part of the 6-star network and you've run a bunch of them, and then I think they put you on a short list maybe. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever even run. I don't need to. I'm totally okay if I never get a 6-star medal or go to all of those places. So I'm happy running around my neighborhood, to be honest with you. So am excited for Boston. And it would be cool to do those other things, but I don't know if I ever will. So Stevie76 says, you can film if you have a Bank of America checking and savings account. I'm going to have to fact check that, Stevie. I'm not sure that that's the case. Do you have to have a certain amount of money in said banking account? Because we just might go for it. And I might pull out my phone. I don't think my wife has any idea about Boston. So she's going to be really surprised at the Wesley Scream Tunnel. I get, what I do? I got to tell her to meet me there. And then she probably won't. She'll probably just see me at the end. Because we're going to stay away. The only person I'm kissing is my wife. My wife! And if she has a bottle for me, that would be great too. So Frank Senior says, you can get into London with the time if you are British. How do they verify that? Let me check my schedule. I heard, hack guys, hack. Talk at your hand. If you talk at your hand, you will have a British accent. There it is. Schedule. Garage. Got meetings. How's Thursday for you, Greg? All right. Matt Byers in here says, got to run to another meeting. It is 1:00, so we'll be wrapping this thing up in a minute. Thanks for stopping in, Matt, and hitting our Takumi Sen quota. JBS says, I think it was about 280 for New York, and he has her in London. Tokyo is the big bear, but not chasing the 6 start either. He says there's plenty of great races in Europe and doing Valencia in December. Well, I'm not ruling out that I will never live in Europe. Could be Canada. I've been to Vancouver. It's very nice. I don't know. My wife, it's like every other week. So we're moving. We're moving every other week, and she's taking it. She just got back from Barcelona and she's going on a trip to Japan. And I know she's going to come back in June. She's like, the yen is really weak right now, Andrew. We could just go to Japan. It's like, yeah, but then I got to learn Japanese. And so they got the running culture. So that's good. They do have a lot of great races in Europe as well. So last year she went to Italy and Greece. She came back with reports on where we could live. I was like, I just need you to factor in the running. Okay. Just the whole culture of running, the environment, the races. And I know we're not moving anywhere that's too cold because she can't do the cold. So, because she's like, ooh, Chicago was nice when we visited. Maybe the suburbs of Chicago. I was like, they have enough running influencers. Okay. So does Austin. We just stay away from both of those. So Stevie76 is in here, and here he says 23andMe will show British lineage. If 23andMe is not out of business, it will definitely show some Italian, some Irish, and some Mexican. That's what we got. So, but if it's just a phone call, I can work on my accent, and we could see if we can get into London, and I'll go run with 40. Alex is in here. He says Miami could use more running influencers. True. And it could use a little bit less humidity and heat too. So, but it will be fun if I'm in Miami, Alex, we're gonna catch a run. So I could compare the suffering from South Texas to South Florida. So thanks for doing the live stream. We'll do it next Wednesday, and then I'll just keep it on this channel so it's easier to find than the other channel. And then I don't even make content anymore anyway. So it's not going to disrupt the flow. Thanks for stopping in, guys.